And our special guest, Colonel and Dr. Michael Babich. Welcome back. Now, you were just saying that some of the things that we need to do is to know our local lawmakers, our local government. Now, are we to go up to them and say, hey, are you a Fabian socialist?
Right. That's a good question. I mean, there are ways, little cues you can get at. It's not so much that they intentionally would be one, of course. It's, do they understand the problem? I'll give you one example that happened recently in our state. In August, something passed almost without notice, and that was a law that Governor Brown signed, that our assembly signed, with some Republican support and a lot of Democrats, to, I'll say, forfeit our electoral college to the groupthink of the United States. So, in other words, let me put it this way. There's an electoral college, and you have to say, well, why is that important? So once again, how do we unravel this? Well, I looked and I've searched. I'm not saying I've covered 100% of my bases. There's only so many hours in the day. But I haven't seen anybody stand up and explain why it was wrong for us to forfeit, turn over all of our electoral votes. And where do they even come from? You know, you have 53 congressional reps, 2 senators, you have 55. And we just had Constitution Day. I had to educate all my students as to why that is important, how it prevents the tyranny of the majority on the minority. We are a republic. We're not one nation. We're really, I mean, yes, we are and we're not. We're 50 countries tethered together in a union.
I thought it was 57.
That's somebody said, who said?
Yeah, I think it was Obama.
Obama, that's right, 57. and so we need to understand that we're tethered, and the 9th and 10th Amendments, in fact, secure the individual sovereignty and the state sovereignty, respectively. And just to make sure that we have that. But we're not following it. We violated that over and over again, so we need to address these representatives as to what are they doing to support the 9th and 10th Amendment. So we have to understand the roots. It's taken generations to unwind what we know about this. And so this electoral college, just so I don't leave that little rope hanging there, if the nation votes in favor of one candidate, and let's talk this day. What if they all went to McCain, the last election? I mean, we went to Obama, but the nation went to McCain. What do you think our Democrats and others, because they pushed this through initially, in Sacramento would say, why are we giving all 55 of our electoral college over to McCain? We voted for Obama. That would happen. That could happen, theoretically. Wow. So you need to have the states having a say. If only 60,000 votes went the other way in Ohio, in 2004, we would have had President Kerry. And unfortunately for me, basically where I come from, but I would stand by that because that is a republic. In that case, Bush would have actually had more popular vote, but would have lost the Electoral College, and I agree with that because if you look at our nation and you paint it red versus blue, you'll see the vast majority is red on those political maps and small areas of blue. And the framers understood sometimes one person, maybe a farmer, has something for you to listen to because it's important for our food supply. But no, the city people might not listen so much. And so they collectively vote together in another area. So the framers understood we need to have the voices heard for everybody, including the minority, to give them ear. And so what happened? We can ask questions such as this and look at our legislators and see how much they do know about things like the Republic. And why did you vote for that? So on the floor, I didn't see anybody argue about the Republic. They just argued, oh, we'll lose our voice. They talked about the candidates coming over here in California because we're not really an issue in the primaries.
Yeah, yeah.
So they want to bring them over here so that vote changes it? Well, it's just for the listenership, it's not law yet. It's an effort to change the Constitution. 7 other states have gone that way.
So is there an effort that we can take to stop this? Or I thought it had been signed by Jerry Brown already.
Yeah, it's been signed, okay. But I don't, and I'm not a legal beagle, but it seems to me if we want to try to reverse things like Obamacare and redo it, there was some need, putting my medical hat on now, we need some revision, that's clear. But, you know, let's try to, part of the reason a lot of people voted that way, and I've spoken to a few Democrats and a couple of Republicans who voted for it, and they didn't understand, they didn't know why. They said, oh, I didn't know how damning this is, because the bigger picture is
that's not encouraging.
It's damning, not in a swearing sense, but it's damning to our republic. Yeah. So again, it's an insipid, little sneaky Fabian thing to bring us down and think of a collective mindset. If you think of a national vote instead of state votes, see, everything goes to Washington, and it's an upside down. You got We the People behind you there, Ginny. I see the beautiful little poster there. We the People. It's an upside down triangle. We the people. But you'd have anarchy if we truly ruled individually. So we empower these people. So at the bottom of the triangle is the president. Somewhere in the middle is the governors. Then the mayors are a little closer to the top, and then we're on the top. We only revert that triangle to right side up, if you will, to prevent anarchy. But we got to remember, they work for us, we don't work for them.
That's for sure. Do you think that this Fabian socialism is something that is deliberately implemented?
There's some clear evidence, and people have written that there are some groups, as I mentioned, there were Fabian Socialist Society in England, that would like to see this. But you have other people who are unwittingly knowing themselves as are Fabian socialists and wouldn't say that they are because, well, they may not know the definition. But they're globalists.
Yes.
And so really, when you talk about the dumbing down of America, and if I have a moment, I'll give you some numbers how it's really hurt us. But our creativity, whether it's the mobile phones, the TV, I'm not saying don't use them, but use a little prudence when you're using them. Creativity suffers when the education's downhill. And then government dependence grows. And then we become globalized. I mean, that's the natural train. And part of it is to also rearrange wealth. Part of it is groups that would like to see more globalization. So did President Clinton think he was a Fabian socialist when he was the first one to ever sign over our troops to come under a UN authority? I don't think he would consider himself an intentional one, but he sees the natural direction of it. And of course, Truman himself said in a meeting after the Korean War, he said that to a group of soldiers, said, well, and you remember that was a UN war, if you will, and he said, remember, these soldiers died that the UN might live.
Well, let's try to consolidate this now into something positive. What, if anything, can we do about it? I know you said get involved in local government, but let's go into some specifics of how we can become more informed so that we can be aware when something like this, maybe we even don't realize when a bill is up that it's something that is subvertly taking away our liberties.
Right. Well, I'm aware the Tea Party Patriots and various political clubs have their watchdogs at Sacramento, and then feeding us information from Washington, D.C. In this age of media and the internet in particular, it's a shame we really can't rise above the skewed angle we get from most of the media or from the socialism that's happening at the school level and where we feel that the group mind think. The only thing I could say, I mean, it's a very challenging question you pose for me, because this has been taking place for definitively for 3 generations. As I pointed out, Rockefellers and others actually said they wanted to change media. That was clear. They bought 26 or 29, I can't remember, of the top media outlets at the time. And then they said education, because we wouldn't give up to revolution instantly. And then they said the military. So we need to be informed. We need people out there who are informed, and we need people discussing what the problems are behind the scenes. Don't discuss left versus right. We need to force people to talk about right versus wrong.
Well, I thank you so much, and this is a deep subject. I know you've spoken to us at our groups about this as well, and people keep wanting to have you come back and tell us more so that we can be more educated, more alerted to wrong legislation. Quickly, in a quick answer, do you specifically know of legislators who would say, yes, I am a socialist?
I don't know of any personally, no. And that's the thing about Fabianism. It's subtle. You don't even know what you are.
Well, thank you, Michael, for being with us today, taking time out of your busy schedule. I want to remind our listeners of our Making of America seminar on October 15th. You can go to our website at NorCalTeaPartyPatriots.org for more information. That's NorCalTeaPartyPatriots.org. I want to also again thank Dick Randall of the Lost Trail Ranch in Cupertino for sponsoring our show today. Next week, we have Eric Hogue. Yeah, you're right. You heard that right. We have Eric Hogue, and the interviewer is going to be interviewed right here on KTKZ next Sunday. Join us for We the People Radio. Thank you.